whatever, fuck off. Okay, apparently this is my first live. Now let's explain, I'm using a cheap $60 phone as my camera base, so quality's not going to be the best, I'll grant it. Now what we're about building or rebuilding my WR360, which as you can see, hang on, switching around, is over here. We had a seize on the freeway the other week. We've got our little light up here, which we will learn to move around properly in our view. Now the first thing we're going to look at, now I did however start pulling the bike down before I was able to do live, so one of the things I bought with the intent of pulling off the piston was this little doobie lacquer. Cost me I think $17 from Temu or something, the piston remover, the gudgeon pin remover. Unfortunately it only fits like a 125, maybe a 200. It was quoted as being 78 mils, and I thought that was the size piston it would fit. My mistake. 78 mils is that distance there. So unfortunately this is now, well, maybe I'll get a little moped one day. Until then, it's junk. So we then had to spend another $40 odd and get this U beauty, which we shall be using. You'll see. We'll be using this to take off our piston. Once our piston's off, we'll be using a combination of a magnet and tape, and just double checking that none of the lamination from the C cylinder made it down into the gallery. Now of course 100% method is pull the engine out, split the cases, but for the cost of damaging maybe a couple of seals, I'm going to do the cheap way. I'm going to try and put it all back together as best I can, and we'll see how we go. So that's where we're at for today. Hoping people will start to tune in and join my channel as I set up. As you can see here, it's a little bit cluttered. And the lighting of an evening is not the best. This is something I'm going to all have to do. Currently I'm in a little bed sit, so room is at a premium, and I've only got this one bench to do my workings on. And as for my tools, I used to have a fully stocked workshop many years ago, but after a divorce and moving around and a couple of stints of being homeless and temporary accommodation, everything's fallen by the wayside. So what we've done, we saved our dollars, we bought ourselves a bike June last year, put it in lock-up while we were in temporary accommodation, and when we got this place in December, we pulled it out, and we got it up and running to the point of registration, and all was right with the world. We were coming up for a few maintenance things, and lo and behold, tuning the carby, a quick run that was a last minute run I had to do down the freeway, and she was just too lean off the off idle, and at 100 k's an hour she decided to lock up on me, which is a real crying shame because the barrel was fairly new and not worn. So that in itself was an unwarranted cost. I may as well show you. I've got the barrel back today. I'll just pull that out and put him on the bench. Here we go. Here's the barrel. She has been re-Nicoselled down by the nice people at Nicosell in Melbourne, Victoria. I had this and a spare barrel, and they also supplied me at my request a Wasner piston. The whole job, the 2 piston kits and 2 barrels to be relined, was $1,890, so not a small amount. Since I was getting one done, I thought I may as well get the other one done at the same time. So now I have a spare barrel in case I make a boo-boo again. So this is where we're at. Now obviously nobody's here because, well, nobody's typing or asking questions. This in itself may be an issue as I'm working, because how can I see the screen and work at the same time? These are the things we'll learn and conquer as we go along. So here we go. Here's our, pull our seat off. And how about I go sit this in the cradle? Where do I put the cradle? Over here. Plug in the power. Around the other side. There we go. There we go. Okay, we can hopefully see the bike. How do we go in there? Yeah, we're going to have to move it around, I think, because you're not going to get much of a view of the bike, I think, from there. Anyway, in the meantime, I'll start pulling bits off it. See how we go. As you can see, I've previously taken parts off it. And here we go there. I think maybe might be better. It might be better if I put it round on the lounge from the side. Used a better camera. Jam it, wedge it in here somewhere. Right. There you go. Now a picture on the other side, you can see my mug staring through at you. Honestly don't know how the sound's going to end up. I suppose once I stop recording and go back and have a look at it, we'll be able to see. In the end, we may actually end up recording these and then uploading them afterwards if this live doesn't pan out. Not too concerned about audience participation at the moment. Obviously it's going to start off with me just talking to myself, and maybe somewhere down the track. That one doesn't fit. What I'm doing now is I'm taking the spacers off the gudgeon pin puller, trying to find out which one is the right size so that we can take the gudgeon pin out and okay. That looks like that might be the one. Let's do the other two off. That's the one. Tedious bit. That's the problem with this. I haven't worked on a bike apart from swapping the front end 6 months ago to facilitate the speedometer so I could get it registered. I haven't worked on a bike since the mid-80s through to the mid-90s, which was an old air-cooled KDX 250 Kawasaki. It's a little bit different to these water-cooled ones. And of course didn't have a power valve either. So, okay, so this goes in here. People can see it, and screws in all the way, I suppose. Screwy. There we go. Still a bit more. Okay, we've got plenty here. Let's reverse thread on this. Right. Probably the small shifter will be the way to go. The question is, where is the small shifter? It's over here. That's the magnet. That was great. Dropped it, hit a piece, and straight away it went skidding across the floor. Now interesting, it's got a hole in it, so it should have come with a braking bar when I bought it, and then it wouldn't need. Isn't that funny? That seems too tight for me. Just to be on the safe side. I've never seen a gudgeon pin tight before, so we'll just double check this maybe isn't the wrong one, and we'll go down another size. I don't want to break it before we even use it. We'll soon find out. Yes, that's moving a lot easier. So the last one, although it fit in the hole, obviously didn't clear all the way through to the gudgeon pin and was catching on the piston itself. This is really stiff, but it is turning. It is coming out, so obviously it's working. By the looks of it, $40 well spent, $37 I think it was. And by the way, I got this from Amazon, which I'm not a real fan of Amazon with all the bad things I've heard about it. The same as with Temu. I'm not a real fan of Temu. There's a lot of crap on there. But to be honest, I spent quite a few $100s suiting myself up with bike riding gear, in the way of body armour, gloves, goggles, waterproof jackets, winter pants, that sort of thing. I already and a couple of cheap polyester jerseys to wear over my body armour so it doesn't get covered in the clay mud. Around where I live, the nearest riding area is an old brick quarry. No need to tell you what the clay sticks to you like. There you go. What have we got here? Yep. So there we are. I'm hoping you people can see this. This has got the gudgeon pin nicely attached to it. The bearing is now, unfortunately, what's happened is it's bit into this thing and it's screwed down and it's got itself as tight as it bloody well can. The screw. So now it's jammed on there and I can't get the gudgeon pin out. Which won't be an issue, I think, when I go to use it again, but oh no, there it is. It's come undone already. But I've scratched a nice ring around the anodising. So one was a little bit too big, and by the looks of it, one was a fraction small, because it fit in like a cone. Come on, I'll show you. This is going to be a real hassle, this putter. I'm going to have to sit on this side so I can see it there. I don't know if you can see that, but the edge of the anodising has been worn off, angled, it's beveled itself as it's twisted into the gudgeon pin. Not a huge deal, but at the end of the day, a lot of the ones that I saw online that were professional ones that you buy here in Australia. And if you didn't know, for those that are unaware, I live in Sydney, Australia, western suburbs. No, we don't have kangaroos jumping around the front yard, but I have seen lots and lots of kangaroos in my time. We do have them, just not in the city. Now, as I was saying, yeah, a lot of the parts of these gudgeon pin removers that I looked at from local suppliers were well into the $100, $150 mark. So 3 times the price of what I ended up paying. And as you just saw, it did the job. In a matter of minutes, I had the pin out. Something I was unable to do by hand, which was a pain because I used to pull down my air-cooled KDX 250 with regular maintenance and change the pistons and rings and things like that, and play with the ports and hand mill the head, and I was always doing something with that bike, trying to eke out a little bit more performance. They were rated back then for I think 32 horsepower. I don't know what I ended up getting the horsepower up to, but I did have the bike running really, really nice, and at one stage, many years later, I lined up against a 91 model CR 250 motocrosser, and in a straight line drag, I was able to keep him in the first couple of years, and honestly, I pulled away from him about 4 or 5 bike lengths by the time he reached his maximum, and I still had 30 kilometres an hour top speed over him on top of that. So I was really happy with the outcome of that bike, and the best thing I liked about it was no matter where I took it, tight bush, creek crossings, it never failed on me. It never bogged, it never fouled a plug. It did everything I asked of it. Unfortunately, I did have a little accident with a police car, their fault, not mine. And smashed the front end on it. But the bonus was they paid for a new front end, and I actually put a disc brake 43mm front end off of YZ125 onto it. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to work out what you can see. As you can see, there's the problem. Lighting is an issue. As you can see, here's the score marks on the piston from the heat seize. That dark spot there, if you can see it, is actually a piece of the delaminated cylinder that's welded itself on, which came off the transfer port. The rings themselves are embedded. Same on the other side. So it did not seize at the exhaust bridge like most of them. It actually seized on the two sides. So I'm not sure why. I would have expected it to seize on the exhaust port side, but that's it's got a mark or three there, but the bad seize was on the sides, and so it's cactus. It's nothing more than a paperweight now. The bearing still looks good, so we'll put that away. Chinese takeaway containers. Great for putting your parts in. Those and cereal lunch bags. And I find that, I've always found that putting in bags, separating your parts as you pull them off, makes it easier to keep things together. So you know what bit goes with what bit. That's the top there. So where am I going to put this? It's not going to be used again straight away, so I'll dump it in the random parts bin. Do that. We'll just double check. We'll double check what we got here in the thing. There's our rings, of course. I've already had a look at this earlier today, of course, but I didn't look inside the piston just to make sure it came with a gudgeon pin. But no bearing. Now, funny that. Oh, circlips too. No bearing to go with the gudgeon pin. Now, you would think a piston kit would come with a gudgeon pin and a bearing. I'm actually quite amazed that that's not the case. Now, my bearing is in perfect order, so I don't have an issue using that one again. As I said, as bad as the seize was, the worst part was the bike had been rebuilt by the last owner, and to his talking, he'd only ridden it about nine times during the COVID period and the following 2 years, and he was now looking for a 4-stroke bike with an electric start because it was getting too much for him. And with our conversations and the way we did our deal, and I worked out a payment deal with him so I could pay it off over several months rather than just a straight cash buy. I believed him at the time, and that bet bore out to be true. When I pulled it down, the cylinder had absolutely no wear lip at the top of the bore. It was as fresh as a daisy. It was only the damage I did to it that. So that's a crying shame. A real crying shame. So over here, where did we throw him? should do. Put that in the bag. Then once again, bearing, you don't want to cover it in dirt and crap. Put it in the seal bag. With the cylinder and the piston, which we'll put over here for the time being. And the old adage, don't put anything expensive near the edge of a bench. You're bound to knock it off and break it. Yes, I did that to a barrel one time. I'm going to walk off camera and do a naughty. Now here's something I don't know. Now, they don't really tell you a lot when you go on YouTube or live or any of these things. But I'm a smoker. At least I was a smoker. I gave up for 5 years. And then during my living in temporary accommodation, surrounded by smokers the whole time, as many people on the down and out are, I caved and started smoking again myself. And have been smoking again for about 12 months now. I really should give it up. It's not good for me, especially when I'm riding. But the question on the point I was making, I've heard people complain on YouTube about people even vaping on the thing. So I honestly don't know where I stand smoking. I'll make this disclaimer though. Smoking is bad, don't smoke. You're a fool if you did. You're a fool if you do. And I'm a fool. Simple as. Now, this is something I find odd. I'm looking at the inside of the gallery, or the top of the gallery here, and it's two different colours. One side's a gold, nice light goldy colour, and the other side is a real reddy colour. I'm wondering if these weren't two different cases at one stage. Or can't be heat discoloration because it's too even all the way to the joint. And it changes exactly at the joint. And the cases, well, they match at the front, but there's a definite overhang. I wouldn't be surprised if at some stage during its life this bike has had an engine rebuild and it's been built up from two different engines. Well, the things you learn. Okay, so here we go. We've got to get some light on the subject. We've got some light on the subject. I did actually consider taking the handlebar mount for the camera off and trying to fit it up here, and then I could actually show you down into the engine as I'm working on it. Right, now I'll just pull this out. Over here. As you can see, the dark colour on this side here is a very dark colour here. Very light colour there. And when we come here, I don't know if you can see, right there, it doesn't line up. It lines up on the inside, but on the outside there, right there, there's like 3mm, 2mm difference. And the front side is about fractionally on the inside, okay, on the outside. So I reckon at some stage this engine has been rebuilt out of two different engines. Now she's a what? a 26-year-old bike, so I wouldn't find that surprising that somebody blew an engine or smashed a case or possibly wore out the water pump and it went through, and rather than weld it, they replaced it. Like, who knows? Honestly, who knows? So the next thing is, in this area down here, with the delamination, I found one little piece sitting here and nothing else in the whole thing. Run my finger around everywhere. There's no other pieces there that I can find at all. And that's something too. You can see 2 wear marks there on those lugs. I was planning on putting the smaller base gasket in. Now I'm wondering if that's feasible, because the base of the cylinder is actually rubbing on those lugs already. I take it you can see it where the paint's off, right down there and over there. Yes, if that's already grounding, putting the 0.3mm base gasket instead of the 0.5mm base gasket, that may give me a sealing problem. See, these are the things you learn when you delve into things. Now, getting back to what I was saying, there's a possibility that some shards have gone down inside here. Now, the only real way to get it is split the cases and pull it apart and clean it out properly. But that's I know it's not a huge job, but for me, with my lack of tools, my lack of bench space, that would be a big ask for me to pull the whole engine out and split the cases. But if I have to, eventually I will do it. But for right now, what we're going to try and do is we're going to have a look and see if this magnet... I was hoping that magnet would fit down in there and we could have spun the crank around. With the crank magnetised, it would have picked up all the bits, but okay, it's not going to fit. Okay, so we're either going to get a smaller magnet somewhere along the line, and at the moment that's the only magnet I've got. The other thing we looked at was here. Putting tape. I just realised there's text on my screen. What am I doing? Okay, pan out a bit. Pull this down. As you can see, this is a motorbike, a Husqvarna WR360. During the course of getting it for the local streets in the bush, we had it running fairly nice, but it was a bit rich off idle. And I read an article about a particular jet needle, and I put it in. But to be honest, I found it a little on the lean side. I put it on its setter clip setting, and it ran okay around the streets. Unfortunately, I got caught out. I won't say an emergency, but I didn't realise I'd be called to go somewhere the very next morning, and it included a 10k trip down the freeway. And unfortunately, I got to within 3 k's of my destination, and she seized, locked up. So a lean seized just off idle at 100 k's, and she delaminated the barrel. Which, as I said probably before you got into the room, the delaminated barrel was a near new barrel that the previous owner had put in there just prior to purchase. So, yeah, that sucks to be me. And over here, as you can see, I've just got the barrel back from Nicosal down in Melbourne. And they sent it back. It arrived today. And over there is the piston they supplied with it. The piston box, the piston's in it. We've already pointed out, so far today, if you missed it, we used this that we bought off Amazon to remove the gudgeon pin. Made the job simple, and we had the gudgeon pin out in a little over 3 minutes once we got the right size and worked out what we were doing. And right now, what we're trying to achieve is finding out whether or not there are any shards of metal, any of the nickel plating, down under the crank. It's not like they're going to do any major damage sitting down there, but there is the possibility, if it's a small shard and it moved around, it could pierce the seal, either behind the stator, allowing air to be drawn in, or the gearbox side, allowing oil to get pulled in. I would think it would be unlikely to get up in between the piston and the skirt and score the bore on me, but again, that is a possibility, I suppose. The magnet I had that I thought I was going to use to magnetise the crank, turns out it's too big to fit down the centre of the crank. Bugger. So the next thing I'm looking at is what I thought, if I put some tape on here and roll it around. There's lots of oil down there and nothing stuck to it. The oil's all run to one side. Oh yeah, I can feel grit in there. So there's definitely little bits down there. Yeah, I can feel that between my fingers. Just little like bits of sand. So yeah. Not happy, Jan. I don't know if you can see that on my finger, that little black dot on my finger. Yeah, they're little bits of nickel that's come off the cylinder. So yes, I'm definitely going to have to do something about that. The other thing I'm going to have to do is find something to wipe my bloody fingers on. I did have a rag here before. It's probably in the laundry though. Down to the laundry. Okay. So, for the moment, I'm going to put you back over here, mate. Alright. I'm alive again. We just screen locked the phone and I couldn't see what was happening. I'm going to come round and line it up again. I'll clean off the crank. Line it up. Yeah, there you are. You should be able to see everything that's going on, hopefully, just from a distance. Yep. Come out. Come around the other side. This side and I spin it around. I'll have to do this again. I'll put it up on a stand. Because all the oil's over one side, so it's not going to really stick to that far side. And that's a dilemma. Well, that crank's nice and tight, that's for sure. No movement at all. So we got, you can't see it, I wouldn't be able to show you that. I can see glistening in the light like little flecks of gold. There's definitely bits have gone down in there. I think what we're going to have to do is to call magnetic tape. We just put some grease on the side of the crank and dragged it around. Hopefully that'll grab it. Anything. We get a piece of clean. Put it on the crank now and do the same thing, wipe it off. See if we can find more gold flecks. And yes, well that worked. What more on it? We'll do the other side as well. Since that works. Oh, somebody loves me. Somebody's trying to sell me something. Yeah, so basically, as I said, what I'm doing now, I'm putting a smear of grease on the crank, spinning it around, and hopefully that'll pick up some of this metal. Won't cause the engine any damage, and I'll clean it off as best I can when I'm finished. So another clean piece of rag. Where's the clean piece? No, come down inside and do this. Rag on the thing. Okay. On. Oh, nothing there. Try a clean piece. No. No flex on that side, so that side looks good. This was the side that laminated, so another little fleck. Another little one. Let's find a clean piece of rag. Yeah. Glittery pieces on there. No. pieces. So I think we've got most of them out. No, just a bit of grease. Little bits. Don't try that one at home. Get a new cloth because I can't stick this down inside because it's already got pieces on it. Let's go up and grab a new chucks. Right, I've got a new chucks. This one down the centre of the crank. All the way down in there. Pull it out. Do a bit more crud. Around the other way. Back in. I'm not recommending anybody else do this. I really just, I don't know if it's a matter of lack of confidence. Certainly a matter of lack of tools. But yeah, I don't really want to pull the cases apart. I'm not sure if I'm getting any there. Looks like I've got it all. Oh, I'm just trying to sell me something now. There's another bit of grip. Oh geez, this is not looking good. Decisions. Okay, well, I'm gonna end the live for the moment. Yeah, nobody else has asked me any questions, so nobody else is here. I'm boring the bum off everybody. Maybe the picture's not good enough. We've been going for nearly an hour. Yeah, well, there's a start. So for those that have watched, or once I upload it, those that want to have a look at it, this is going to be a fairly slow project. I'm no whiz mechanic. As I said, I haven't touched a bike since the mid-90s, and they didn't have power valves or, well, some did, but mine didn't, or water cooling back then, so things were a lot simpler. And I had a full range of tools back then, which I no longer have. I've basically got a handful of specialty tools that I purchased and a handful of screwdrivers I inherited, and one socket set and one battery-powered drill. So, yeah, some of the things you might see me do, you'll go, ooh, I wouldn't do that. And I'm not recommending anybody do what I do. And just when you don't have the proper tool, sometimes a screwdriver is as good as a brake caliper. Yeah, what we do. Okay, I'm going to end this live now. As I said, I'm going to have a look at how I save this and make it public and put it up with a name on it. And then I'll come back when I've got something better to show you. Once I'm set up a bit better. The whole thing's a learning process. Have a nice day. Goodbye. And now I've got to work out how to turn this off. Push the X. Sure you want to stop streaming? Yes.